In the heart of Adomasa, a vibrant village in Ghana surrounded by lush greenery and modern touches, there lived a young woman named Agnes. At 23, she was known for her radiant beauty, intelligence, and a charm that seemed otherworldly. But beyond her captivating appearance and serene demeanor lay a secret that tormented her nights and consumed her days. Agnes carried a hunger, a need so intense that it defied explanation. This wasn't the simple longing of a young woman for love or affection. It was a restless, insatiable force that grew stronger with each passing day. No man in Adomasa could satisfy her, and many had tried. One by one, they left, overwhelmed by her intensity and the strange energy that seemed to radiate from her. The story begins one fateful night. Agnes sat on the edge of her wooden bed, her body trembling with an unrelenting energy that no amount of work or distraction could dispel. Her room, illuminated by a single flickering oil lamp, seemed to close in on her as she stared at her reflection in the cracked mirror. Her eyes glowed faintly, a detail she dared not acknowledge aloud. "What is happening to me?" she whispered, clutching her knees. The answer came not from within, but in the form of shadowy dreams that plagued her every night. Figures she could not recognize chased her through endless fields, their laughter echoing in her mind long after she woke. The following day, as the sun climbed above the village, Agnes stepped into the bustling market. She was met with stares and hushed murmurs. Men averted their gazes, while women clutched their children and muttered prayers under their breath. "There she goes," an elder whispered to another. "She is not of this world." Agnes quickened her pace, her heart heavy with shame and confusion. She felt alienated, trapped in a body that no longer felt like her own. Her condition had begun subtly months prior. Tasks that once required hours, fetching water, grinding grain, weaving, were now completed in minutes. Her strength became otherworldly, and her stamina seemed limitless. Yet with these gifts came a darkness she could not escape. One evening, Kojo, the village's strongest farmer, declared, "I will prove to all that she is just a woman." That night, Kojo returned home pale and shaken, refusing to speak of what had transpired. The incident only fueled the rumors that swirled around Agnes. The men of Adomasa grew wary of her. Mothers kept their sons at a distance, and fathers forbade their daughters from speaking to her. Agnes's home became a prison, her only solace the fleeting moments she spent wandering the outskirts of the village, searching for answers. Agnes's torment had begun during her final year in secondary school. She had dreams of furthering her education, of becoming a nurse or teacher and giving back to the community she loved. Her teachers often praised her brilliance, calling her a shining example for the village youth. But her father, Mr. Kwadwo, had other plans. "A woman's place is in the home," he often said. "Books will not feed you. You will marry Kojo, and that is final." The words were a dagger to Agnes's heart. She pleaded with her mother, Afia, to convince her father otherwise. "Mama, I can do so much more if I go to college," she said. "Please help me." Afia, torn between tradition and her daughter's dreams, tried reasoning with her husband. "Kwadwo, she has a gift. Let her pursue it." But Kwadwo's stance remained firm. "Enough. She will marry." This ongoing conflict weighed heavily on Agnes, amplifying her inner turmoil. It was during these months that the strange dreams began, and her body started changing in ways she couldn't explain. On a night bathed in moonlight, Agnes found herself drawn to the village stream. The air was heavy with an unnatural stillness, and the usual chirping of crickets had ceased. As she approached the water's edge, a glowing figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, ethereal and hauntingly beautiful, her eyes piercing and her presence commanding. "You have been chosen," the figure said, her voice both sweet and menacing. Agnes's body froze, her breath caught in her throat. The figure extended a hand, and an invisible force surged through her, igniting every nerve in her body. Agnes collapsed, her vision blurring as darkness enveloped her. When she awoke, she was back in her room, drenched in sweat and gasping for air. The restless energy within her had intensified, roaring like a beast demanding to be unleashed. As Agnes's condition worsened, her abilities grew more extraordinary. She could lift boulders, outrun the swiftest men, and work tirelessly from dawn till dusk. Yet, her insatiable hunger for something undefined pushed her closer to the brink of madness. The villagers' fear turned to hostility. "She's cursed," they cried. "She will bring ruin upon us all." Even her father, Mr. Quadwo, turned against her. "This is the price of your defiance," he bellowed. "You should have married as I commanded." But her mother, Afia, refused to abandon her. "This is not our daughter's doing," she insisted. "We must find help." Desperate, Afia took Agnes to Nana Kofi, the village elder and spiritual guide. Nana Kofi listened intently as Afia described her daughter's condition. "This is no ordinary affliction," he said gravely. "Agnes is possessed by an abonsum asiis, a restless spirit that amplifies desires and strength, but feeds on chaos." "Can she be saved?" Afia asked, her voice trembling. Nana Kofi nodded. "But it will not be easy. The spirit must be confronted and expelled. We will need Ya Nyamekye, the priestess from the neighboring village. Only she has the power to perform such a ritual." Ya Nyamekye arrived days later, her presence commanding and her aura radiating wisdom. She wore intricate beads and a flowing kente cloth, her face painted with sacred symbols. The villagers gathered in awe as she approached Agnes. "The spirit within her is strong," Ya Nyamekye said after examining Agnes. "It will resist. This will not be an ordinary exorcism." The exorcism was scheduled for the night of the new moon. The villagers gathered in a sacred clearing, the air thick with tension. Drummers beat a steady rhythm as Ya Nyamekye began chanting incantations. Sacred herbs were burned, their smoke swirling around Agnes, who sat at the center of the circle. At first, Agnes remained silent, but as the chanting intensified, she began to convulse. Her voice changed, becoming deep and guttural. "You dare challenge me!" The spirit roared through her. The villagers gasped, some stepping back in fear. Ya Nyamekye stood firm. "You do not belong here," she declared. "Return to your realm and leave this child in peace." The battle raged for hours. Agnes thrashed and screamed as the spirit resisted with all its might. But Ya Nyamekye called upon the ancestors, her voice rising above the drums. The villagers joined in prayer, their collective will forming a shield of unity against the darkness. Finally, as dawn broke, Agnes let out a piercing cry. The spirit was expelled, disappearing into the morning mist. Its presence left a ripple in the air, a reminder of the unseen battle that had taken place. Agnes awoke weak, but free. For the first time in months, her mind was clear. Ya Nyamekye revealed that Agnes had been chosen by the goddess to act as a bridge between the divine and the mortal world. Fully aware of her divine calling, Agnes dedicated her life to serving the gods and helping her community. She became a healer, a guide, and a protector, offering counsel and performing rituals to maintain harmony within the village. Her presence brought peace to troubled souls and light to those lost in darkness. Her story became a legend, a tale of redemption and divine purpose. Through her struggle, Agnes found not only healing, but a mission that transcended the pain she had endured. As years turned into decades, Agnes became a cherished figure across the region. Her journals filled with wisdom became sacred texts. Songs, plays, and festivals celebrated her life. Agnes passed away peacefully at the age of 87, her spirit joining the ancestors. Today, a statue of Agnes stands in the heart of Adomasa, a beacon of hope and a reminder that even in darkness, the human spirit, guided by divine purpose, can rise and inspire others.